Hey everyone, we have an extra special guest. We're joined with Omer Shai. He is the CMO of Wix. He is one of the most data-driven and successful marketers in technology history, and he is here to give us the secrets to investing in brand and actually reporting on it right, to building a world-class marketing team, to finding the arbitrage in your marketing and channels. He's going to tell us how he built Wix from the very beginning and how he's scaling it now. This is a great conversation. Let's get into today's show. One of the places I want to start, because I think it's going to be real, there's a lot of founders, there's a lot of marketers that obviously, and marketing leaders who listen to this show. You've been running marketing at Wix for over 16 years, but Wix is a company I really admire. I think Wix, Zoho, there's a handful of companies that have figured out how to really make a great software business at kind of the low end of the business buying market. And to do that, you have to be remarkably great at acquiring customers. And, Kieran and I on the show are always like, hey, distribution is undefeated. If you get the distribution right, you can kind of figure out everything else when it comes to SaaS, especially at the low end of a market. And you have gotten distribution right more than most folks. You've been really great at performance marketing. Some of your former colleagues have gone on to replicate that at Monday and other places to great fame. Tell me how you did it. You're starting in the early days. How do you actually get millions of people to care about your business and come sign up? This is that's a founder's dream. How do you actually do it?
So I will take you back to 2008, right?
Please.
So the web is totally different than what is now, and everyone today is very a closed garden, Google search. And I'm sure that we'll talk about AI later on the talk and the opportunity that we can get from there. But back then I'm sitting in 2008, and first we have a great product. Okay, let's start with that. Okay. So when you have an amazing product, we're first a product company and not a marketing company. We have a product, amazing product and great product company. They have a decent marketing department. So I was thinking about what users that can use a solution like us, what they're searching for. And back then I was start playing with, free flash website. I was searching in Google and I was start buying links for SEO. This is how I started the marketing at Wix.
Love it.
And I
keeping it simple.
Yeah, definitely bottom up. And I bought links, and I'm also a data-driven person and had a huge passion to numbers. And I was browsing on Google Analytics on a daily basis. And then one day I figured out that this one link that I bought that jumped from 35 clicks to my site to 75. And then I understood that while I bought those links for SEO, there is different opportunity in those links. And I created the media buying opportunity of Wix. So what I did back then, all those sites, the templates websites and creation website, all the blogs, they didn't know how to monetize their site. And then came a company like us that with a great product knew how to do it. So what I did, I searched again, for example, a website templates, and I took all the advertisement areas on those websites. And then I did links backs, okay, to those sites. And eventually I created a chain of, let's say, a media buying company that bought tons of traffic to our site. And that gave us a lot of cheap traffic that converted amazingly well. And this is eventually the philosophy of our marketing department till today. We have a great product that fulfills the needs of a lot of users. So what is the searching on YouTube? What are the contents that they are looking for? What kind of content they need to watch? In social, what the content that they are consuming? Everywhere. So eventually, this is the methodology. Today, it's much more robust than what we did in 2008. But more or less is to give an amazing solution for the intent that users have. Back then it was to create something beautiful. Today it's create something and made it for the business to run their business, to fulfill their dreams, to be winners. And so I'm very proud about the users, right? This is where I get a lot of goosebumps when I'm seeing my users' success.
But what you did there, which was interesting, is credit to having a great product, credit to getting the people in who actually needed that product, right? But you found an inefficiency in the market, right? What you're essentially telling me and everybody watching, which I think is a very important point, is that the founding marketing strategy of Wix was about finding underpriced sources of traffic, and that you've basically scaled that for the last 16 years, that you've continually been able to do that. I guess for folks who are maybe not a marketing master like yourself and some of the folks out there, how do you find those inefficiencies?
Unintentionally.
Like, where do you actually, well, tell me what that means. Tell me how you find them unintentionally.
When I'm talking, okay, I like to say that I don't like to think too much. Okay. I'm thinking a lot. Okay. But I don't like to think too much inside rooms with people and talking about stuff. I prefer to do. And I prefer to fail. I prefer to learn from my failure. I would like to understand what others are doing and what other companies thought that when they initiate a project, some kind of project. So I prefer to do and to do and to do and to do. And when you are doing a lot, eventually you are finding the thing that can push the company to the next level. A lot of time, I don't remember my success. Okay. Because I get bored by that. And I don't really care about it because I learn that they are going to be successful long time before others understand that. So when everybody would like to celebrate, I was already in the next project. It's very tough to work with me. Okay.
Well, you know what? I've never like felt, I feel like this is the first time we've chatted, obviously, but I feel so much of a kindred spirit to you, where like I've often described myself as like my life is just running one long marathon with no celebration. You know, where you're like, you're working, you might hit a milestone, you wave at it and you keep going, right? Because there's always something else, right? There's always something else to do and to learn, and there's always ways to be better, which I think is what you're saying. I think you're saying like, hey, my success rate might not be that much better than everybody else's, but what I'm actually really good at is the amount of repetitions and attempts to learn. I can just have these really rapid learning loops that kind of never stop. And most people like celebrate a lot. They they think too much before they get started, and they just waste a lot of time. And are you telling me that like you're just focused on wasting less time and really having way more attempts at learning? It seems like.
Correct. And I feel like I'm celebrating. Okay. But
well, you're doing better than me then.
No, but I think that I'm celebrating most of the time before everyone. Because I think that I understand data very good, and I'm trying to create the shortest cohort that I can in order to understand trends and what happened. And then when I understand it, I would like to go as fast as I can, or to stop things as fast as I can. So I think that the combination of data, running a marathon is amazing. You know, I'm a huge sports fan, huge one. and when I'm thinking about, let's say NFL or the Champions League, I'm thinking about myself as a coach or as a GM, my dream job, GM.
You would be a great GM, by the way. That's a whole other show.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm still waiting to call for Eric DeCosta to work for the Ravens. But think about that. Like they have the first game of the season or preseason, okay? And they have a team and they are pushing themselves so hard for, like, say, 60 games in soccer or 18 regular season of the NFL. And then the season is over and then they won or lost. And then they are getting 80% of their team back a year later, and they need to run for the same trophies again. but we don't have those trophies. Okay. But we don't have the huge failures or winnings. Okay. So this is how I'm looking at that compared to sports that I'm learning a lot of how people are building things and how they run games every week, the strengths, the weaknesses, to think about the competitors. So it's fascinating. Yeah, definitely. I'm going back to the marathon analogy that you gave and I'm connected to it,
Well, okay. So you've talked a lot about being data driven.
Yeah.
And everybody says they're data driven, but in all honesty, like I back channel a lot of people, and you are the number one person that I have ever been connected with where everybody's unanimously that he is the most data driven person that I know. I've heard from folks across Tel Aviv and the US and other folks that, wow, Omer he's the real deal and he is exceptionally data driven. And I'm always like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, well, he's built this great like BI and performance marketing and all of this stuff. But I want to know what it means to you. Like, you're much better at simplifying it down. When you say data driven, what do you actually mean? Hey, everyone. We're always getting requests on the show for more recommendations on how you grow with AI. Well, we're bringing you another one. We've got this free guide from HubSpot on how you can use AI to completely change the way you create content. This guide, it's got it all. Prompts to assist you writing and editing, steps to incorporate AI into your marketing plan, and guidance on how to roll out AI across your team. It is the guidebook on how to integrate AI into your content creation. I've dropped the link in the description below. You're going to want to check it out. Now back to today's show.
Speaking in a room in February 2009. And, back then, as you mentioned, we were from Israel. None of us did what we did in the journey of Wix before. So I'm not sure exactly 2008, 2009, what are the methodologies that people in the US are using. But I don't think that a lot of us back then used methodology. As you see, my English is not perfect. And I like to introduce some terminology. So I was sitting there in the room and I understood, watching the data, I understood that when we are getting users, the free users, the amount of collection that eventually I will get from him. Okay. And this is like in a second that we decided to multiply our marketing budget in 5x. Okay. And again, this is when we created the shorter period of time. Now we can call it cohorts. Back then we called it by creation. That means when the free users created and how much time is taking them to become a premium users. When everyone worked back then on lifetime value, we introduced something else. We called it TROI, time to return on investment, because we said we don't want to predict how much the users eventually is going to pay us. We are okay with building a company when we're getting a fully return of our money after period of time, let's say 8 months. And it helped us to be much more aggressive in the way that we are managing our budgets. So one example. The second one is when Facebook, I think it was 12, when they launched the Page Fast back then, that we understood that these things can be a huge traffic source to our company. Again, we saw it and we moved all in. YouTube, I think 17, we saw opportunity. And then we made a lot of people angry. Yeah, with the Carly Kloss commercial that they were spent too much with that. So I
gotta love a ton of ad rotation, my friend. I love it. Like we had this partnership with Facebook back in the day where we were doing co-marketing with them, and they would give us tons of ad credits, and so we were spending like the equivalent of like tens of millions of dollars on Facebook in a month, and people get so angry that they saw our ads so much. And it's totally the same thing where it's like, no, I just want to see a different ad.
Exactly. And I remember sitting with YouTube and Google back then, and I told them, guys, please give me cut. Okay. I would like cut. And then, yeah, but we don't used to advertise like you. We are more like no direct respond, or I don't know how they call them, like the brand advertisements that I really don't know what that means. So we cannot give you cap, but I think that today the systems are much more mature, to give exactly the amount of cap that you need, target audiences and more. Every time I just get you like 3-4 examples now, it's every time to try to find the opportunity, to find the arbitrage that really works for you, and then to go all in, to find the next arbitrage, to go all in, and to be the first one who find the new arbitrage.
All right, so there's a couple things. One, you really understood the value of your customer, so that made it easier for you to go all in, right? You had a very unique way of looking at the business, and you aligned with, I'm sure, your head of finance and your CEO and everything to look at that business that way so that you could actually be aggressive. And then you actually had conviction to go and spend the money and scale. I know that there are thousands of marketers that are going to listen to this conversation and be like, well, that all sounds great, but like, how did you get everybody to be that aggressive and to agree with these non-traditional metrics? My CEO or my CFO or whatever, just they want to use the industry standard metrics, and like that's what they want to do.
It's a great question. A friendship and amazing colleagues that running with me, and I'm running with them for so long time. So I just want to mention, my CEO Avishai around me, and the CEO and president Nir Zohar, and the CFO Lior Shemesh, that we don't call marketing spend. We are calling it marketing investment. And
love that. Bookmark that, everybody.
So,
send that to your CFO.
Yeah, Lior is amazing because he decided to change me. He tried to understand the decision that Ryan would like us to take. And when he can realize what I'm doing, to go with me all in. And we all as a team, we are running together for so long. So we already trust each other. We need to show each other, I'm seeing something like that. And we are educating each other about the things that we are seeing or listening. I believe that we are one of our strengths, and that we are very good listeners. And being listeners is also to be humble and to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you need to improve and whatever. Great friendship, amazing team for so long, and trying all the time. Again, I think that we are sharing the spirit of we good at now, but we can be better. Okay, so how can we be better? Okay, so it's constant improvement.
It's that shared mindset and the intellectual honesty behind it, which I think is really interesting. But you said something there that's really important, and this is a selfish thing for me, because I believe something you just said, which I sometimes have conversations with people, and they're like, "Oh, why are you doing this job for so long?" And my answer to them is always the same. I was like, one of my best realizations in life is it takes a long time to do something remarkable. It takes a long time to have the context, to have the relationships, to have the perspective and the knowledge and the failure to do something really, really well. And I think we live in a culture where people are just switching jobs every couple of years, and they're missing out on the opportunity to do something truly, truly remarkable. And I got that kind of from your answer, where you're like, it's not that I was actually that much of a better marketer than everybody else. It's like I had the relationships and the historical knowledge and the perspective with this group of people to actually get there. And I had the trust and the ability to take these risks and to do things differently in a way that if you or I or anybody was brand new, you probably wouldn't have the chance to. Right?
Correct. And it's like the support system almost. Okay. And it's not only my colleagues, it's also my team members. Okay. I have super talented team members that working with me for so long. I have chief of staff that with me for 11 years.
Wow.
The people who are running the marketing of Wix and Wix Studio today with me are people who are running. I'm working with one from 2008 and one for 10 years. It's almost that I don't need to speak. And
I like that.
Because, I'm not a good speaker. And I'm most of the time behind the scene. And I just, we are in such a chemistry is amazing. And to be on the same page is amazing. And not to be afraid to challenge yourself is one of, I believe, one of my strengths. So I believe that in the freedom to express whatever I want, because that I think that you're a winner. Okay. Because if I'm working with someone for so long and he knows that I think that he's one of the best marketer in the sphere, and I telling him, I think you did a crappy job here. Okay. Or I think that you don't need to invest here. You don't need to invest there. You need to invest in the other place. And then to have a conversation of that, but not to be afraid and not to think about all the time how to say it in the nice way, in a polite way. No, I'm talking with you like a friend. And I think that you did a crappy job. Now let's fix it together. Because they know that I'm with them. Okay. And they know that I'm going to fix it with them. So to have a great colleague, then to have great people that work with you on the challenges.
I always tell people that I work with, I was like, look, I think you make the best choice. I think you made the best choice that you possibly could, knowing the information you had at the time. Now it's time to make a better, different choice, right? Like we have to get better. We're not going to litigate the past. We're not going to place blame in the past, but I can give you feedback on what I think was bad about it, and we can do it better this time, right? And I love how you're framing that when you have like the relationship and trust with people, you can do that much easier and much faster.
Kipp, I think that you are much more polite than me.
I don't know if that's actually true. I actually don't know if that's true. I don't know if the people I work with would tell you that, actually.
I talked with my HR, the person who's running HR at Wix yesterday, and we talked about conflict. And she mentioned to me, only in good relationship you know how to fight. And I believe in it. I believe that when we are fighting, we are getting better and we are challenging each other and it's fun. And when you're doing it, you are fighting a minute after you drink beer with or wine with or talking about sports later, like a minute later. This is the strength of relationship that eventually you can achieve the goals and winning the marketing and whatever we need to achieve.
Yeah. Conflict is where the magic happens, right? Because that friction creates new things that most other teams are too comfortable to ever get to figure out and do. Right. And speaking of new and uncomfortable things, I want to talk about artificial intelligence, something we talk about here on the show a lot, something I spend a bunch of time working on at HubSpot, but also talking with marketing leaders. I have to imagine, because you're under the radar, but very data driven, you're doing you have some interesting perspectives and you're doing some interesting stuff on the AI front. I'd love to kind of hear from you how AI has shaped this chapter of Wix marketing. Like, what has it changed about how you're doing marketing now?
Currently, in every project that we are doing some uses in AI, with AI in certain amounts. Okay. But I don't think that we are there yet. I think that when you mentioned how they shift the marketing of Wix till now, it didn't shift enough, but it will. Because I think that the way that currently we're running the marketing and the way that we will run in 2 years is totally different. We are not aware of everything. And it's not only the marketing area, it's also the product part, because we have so many AI tools integrated in our solutions that eventually utilize the marketing also. Like we are playing more with the product right now, or on the AI potential that we have. But it's going back to not to be afraid and think about how difficult it used to be to create a video. How difficult was for celebrities, or the opportunity for celebrities. We're going back to sport, let's say NBA. Think about when Shaquille played for LA or Boston or Cleveland or Orlando, how many advertisements he could do in a year? Not a lot. Now, when he retired, you can see it all the time. And what he built like is amazing economy around his brand. But think about that if AI was when Shaquille played, the way that he could utilize his brand through the years when he's in the top was much more, because suddenly, instead of just doing one shoot in a year or two shoots in a year, suddenly he can be on 16 different spots without being in even one shooting day. And we didn't talk about search. What? Like how search is.
No, I want to talk about that.
Like as intent-based person, how search is going to look like, how comparison website are going to look like, how blog traffic is going to look like, and what are the content that we need to create for AI. We don't know those things. Okay. So it's like, I feel like currently we are utilize all the tools that we can in order to make our work much more efficient. But I feel like we're on the edge. Okay. It's like, did you see that? Did you see that? How is this going to change the way that people are coming to that? How this is going to change the way that people consume the content? So it's like be on alert all the time, because the biggest change ahead of us yet. We didn't get everything yet.
What's going to happen to search?
I don't know.
It was on my list to talk about. Let's break it down for everybody. I have some thoughts. I know you got some thoughts. Share. What's going to happen?
I really don't know. We grow up as we are our era. We are Google people. Okay. Google search.
Truth.
SEO, links, whatever. A lot of love-hate relationship with Google, right? I hate when people advertise on my branding. Okay, I feel like it's that.
I love that. It just makes you so angry. It makes me angry too.
It's like I feel like Google role. It's much bigger. That's what they're playing in our life. Because if I did a decent job in building a brand around Wix, and someone else just using the term Wix and advertising themselves, and I can eventually will be the fourth result, it's almost not fair, right? Because Google has much bigger role in our sphere when they have such a huge market share in search. And also comparison website, right? What is real and what's not real. People assume everything is real, but there is a lot of economy around. I think early adopters will move to other solution. I think that Google will give a great fight. We don't know what is going to be the fight yet. We don't know what the business model of search for Google is going to be. We don't know if OpenAI are going to give, let's say, I'm giving search for free and going to be monetized only on B2B. How the search on OpenAI is going to be. What is the role for search for small businesses? What mean OpenAI on Apple devices in the next devices? Okay. So many things. I believe that we are going to be in much more fragmented markets.
That's the point. That's the point right there. That's what everybody needs to understand.
And it's going to be better for the people who are doing a good job to shine and to react first and to understand first the trends that happening. But you need to be on so many areas, and it's not enough to be on one place. But Kipp, this is something that's going to take time. And it's funny for me because people will say, okay, we thought it's going to be a game changer, but eventually only X% of the market are using it. It's something that it will take time. So I'm not assuming that we will see tons of changes at the fragmented sphere in the next year and a half, 2 years. But after that, I don't know. I think it's going to be super, super, super interesting.
Well, I'd actually posit to you that we've already seen a lot of fragmentation. It just hasn't been caused by artificial intelligence, right? The world of search has greatly fragmented. I mean, there was a period of time where search meant Google. That's all it meant, right? You've seen Bing's market share go up in a material way. YouTube search growing crazy. TikTok search, Reddit. You've got a vast change to how people research and discover information even outside of the LLMs and outside of the AI apps. And so we're starting to see that already. And you're right. At some point, when we get over the tipping point, it's going to be even more diverse and more fragmented because the world unbundles and then it bundles back, right? Like we'll become real fragmented and then we'll figure out the real use cases. And then there'll be a couple of big winners again in the future. I guess if we're saying that we're in this fragmented period and we're going to be in that fragmented period for a while, if you're a founder out there and you're just like, man, I'm just trying to sell my product. I'm just trying to build a real business. What do you think are the underrated marketing channels in this fragmented world? Like if you were out there doing it all over again today, where would you say, oh, you know what? There's real value in this channel, or this channel is really underrated relative to what most people spend like their time and money against today?
So I think it really depends on the product that you're selling. Okay. It really depends because I believe that there are some areas that still the competition is low and the searches are high, that you can play the SEO role. But I believe that eventually, if I would look broader on the sphere, I believe that influencer marketers. And when I'm looking at it, I believe that maybe LinkedIn, it's much better place for opportunities than it used to be.
I agree with that.
I think that something happened to us. Okay. In even conversation like we are having right now, I'm not sure that I will do it like 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
It's like currently we are much willingness to share information, to share from our experience, from our winning and losing, than it used to be, because it's like my secret. I don't want others to copy. But then we know that it's much more difficult to copy what we're doing or philosophy or whatever. There are so many elements, like we talk, right? Like the relationship with my core, with my team, with my partners, so many things that we are much more willingness to share on LinkedIn. And if we will keep the content there real and honest, I think there is a lot of opportunity for thought leadership and advertisement with influencers on LinkedIn. I believe that this is huge opportunity, maybe untapped right now.
Okay, couple questions on that topic of secrets. What's been the biggest change in the Wix marketing strategy in terms of time and money you spent? Like, what's been the biggest delta over the last year of like, oh wow, we were doing this, but now we're like really doing this thing? Like, what has been one of the big shifts in strategy that's worked well for you? I'd love to learn about that.
It's 2 years. It's a process of 2 years. It's not exactly 1 year. And sure. It's like understand the marginal cost of a search advertisement better, and the percentage of the strengths of our brand in the overall traffic and what it can bring us, and eventually the users that convert. We built a new product, the Wix Studio One. This currently we're running actually 2 different brands, but it contains Wix on both of them. And it's very interesting because it helps us to focus on the more professionals users. When I say professional, it's web professionals, users on Studio, and the self-creators professionals on Wix. The reason that I use professionals to those users, because we have some users, right? They are like top of the line in the way that they're running the business. They're like the top trainer in the world, but they are not web professionals.
Yeah, they're not web pros. Yeah,
but we would like to call them professional as well. So we've changed the terminology from DIY to self-creators because it gives them the area to be professional. So those are the first 2 things that were huge and meaningful. And the third one is thought leadership and working with, I forgot the name right there. I said it before. Help me, Kipp. Influencer. Sorry.
Influencers. Yeah. So influencers has been like one of the big channel shifts for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Big one.
Why? How's it working? Tell us more.
Because currently we have Studio. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, as I told you, we are first a product company. And when we have a product like studios that actually agencies and web creators and enterprise can build in very efficient way exactly what they want, and we are talking in professional way with them, other influencers are very easy for them to connect to the product and to recommend it to others.
Mm-hmm.
And if it used to be, Wix, I'm not sure. I saw some free website on it's not professional. I don't agree with them, by the way, but it's a cookie cutter website creation. I totally don't agree with them. They don't understand our product. But now with Wix Studio, they understand that we are going after professionals and we are talking their language. It's easy for us because this is our language, because we are talking their language as well. So it's very easy to execute. So influencer marketing are definitely the thing that we shift more to that.
And by influencer marketing, you're talking about kind of paid partnerships with influencers to generate signups. Is that right?
To create content.
To create content that's driving signups and brand awareness, or mostly signups?
Mostly the brand awareness.
Okay.
Less sign up.
This is why I want to get into this, because this is going to be the part of the show that the marketers love the best, because they're going to be able to share this with their CFO, because we've already established that you are one of the most data-driven people / marketers out there. And most people who are very data-driven are like, brand, meh, I don't want to do brand. I'm a reformed performance marketer who now is like, I think brand is so important, but it was a journey to get there. I would love to hear, one, how you think about brand in your marketing mix, and then how you actually think about the return of it. Give us the masterclass in how you went from being super data-driven to being really brand is deeply important.
First, I did 5 Super Bowls commercial till now.
Yeah.
Okay? Fire. I don't think a lot of CMOs did 5 Super Bowl in the same company. So now, again,
most people do want to get fired. Actually,
yes, I believe in Super Bowl, and the reason for that is because the day after Super Bowl, everyone are talking about the commercial. It's the only place in the time of the year that people are not skipping commercial. They are talking about commercial. The day after Oscar, people are talking about the dress and the tuxedos. The day after Super Bowl, they don't even remember the scores unless the Ravens are winning, and they're talking only about the advertising. So again, we will go back to data. So when you understand the data and you understand that people are coming to you because they're searching Wix, because something that you did, you know that you need to create a buzz between acquisition, between direct response, and between the brand. And people are asking me, so how do you know that it works? Eventually, every activity that we're doing, we would like something that will happen in the future. And this something that will happen is searches on our brand, people that will come directly to our brand, chatters on social, and eventually those people need to come to our solution. It's very simple when people are searching for how to create my next website to bring them to Wix. It's more difficult that people that think about how they need to build their next website will come direct to Wix. Okay? And those are the things that eventually you need to do at the same time. And again, then with partnership, with learning, how much you need to spend, what is you're comfortable with, how much you understand the impact of the future, and how comfortable you to invest in it.
How do you understand the impact of the future? Because how do you report out on brand? Or you're what metrics are you looking for when you're making Super Bowl buys, maybe very focused brand activation or brand media buys? How are you knowing that that's an effective use of those
eventually dollars? We created a matrix that our data and analyze that is comfortable with that. So I'm checking cohort by 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, by specific location. I'm checking year over year, month over month, year over 2 years. I'm measuring how many people are searching our brand. Eventually, if we will do the most brilliant brand activities that in 8 months or 12 months, we won't see increase of the brand search, we failed.
Mm-hmm. So the time horizon is very important there. And I think that's a super important thing for everybody listening and watching to understand is you're not measuring it just on 7 days. You're getting some value in those 7 days, but the total value is over a much longer time horizon because you're trying to get those unaware people.
Exactly. And we, because the foundation of the way that we are doing, we are so comfortable with, we know that maybe not that one thing, maybe we did Super Bowl and we did an amazing online campaign to support the Super Bowl. And 2 months later, they saw a lot of influencer marketing that we did. And 4 months later, they saw something that they trust, that use our solution. And all of them together eventually will bring them to search for our solution or will come to us directly. But if they won't come to us directly, we fail. So if we invested in a lot of the brands and we don't keep in the same ratio of direct acquisition, brand search, or we change that more people are searching for exactly 2 weeks or coming directly, we fail. But we need to succeed.
A couple follow-up questions to that. You said you did the Super Bowl 5 times.
Yeah.
That's why not 16? Why not every year?
So, first on the first 3 times we invested heavily in the creation of the spot. Year 4, I felt like we okay with the people understand currently our valuable position and what we are doing. And we not have exactly a new thing to say, but then an opportunity came 2 days before Super Bowl. So I shipped the same spot that I ran on YouTube, for the Super Bowl, and number 4 and 5 or something like that were the same. And after that, we felt like we are going more after professional people. We have other places and area to tell the story. But currently, when we are created this shift between Wix Studio and Wix, and we are so proud about our current offering and the user, maybe next year.
So this is why I asked that question, because I think it's very important. Is if you were just very data driven and you did the raw math on those years that you did the Super Bowl, like you and I could have come up with a way to get the same amount of impressions and visits and everything in a cheaper way. Like we could have saved money in some way to get that to get the same raw metrics, but it would have missed on exactly what you said. You would have missed on the ability to inform and educate an audience that in a way that addresses the core problem or gap you have with your target audience, right? Like it's not just, I want people to know about Wix. I want people to think about Wix in a very specific way in which I want them to kind of define and think about us. And you only get that through those big touch point brand moments. You don't get that through just buying a bunch of decentralized advertisements, right?
This is correct. And it also opens opportunities in terms of a partnership. I will tell you a funny story. So we did so we did the first Super Bowl commercial with the 5 NFL legends, Brett Favre and Theo and more. And day after, we got an email from DreamWorks. We thought the commercial is amazingly done. It was so funny. We would like to work with you on your next Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, and that's awesome.
No one answered that. Okay, because DreamWorks, who cares about them? And like 10 days.
Kids actually, but that's about it.
No, it said like the company, we don't care about them. We're big. No, I'm joking. It was, we got so many emails back the day after.
That's awesome.
And they didn't have even a direct connection to us. They sent the email to bizdev@wix.com. And so I think like 2 weeks later, they sent us another email. We are not sure that you got this message, but we really would like to work with you And then we answer them, and like 30 days later, I think that I came to New York, and I already closed the agreement with them on the second Super Bowl with Kung Fu Panda.
That's so cool.
And without doing the first commercial, I couldn't do the second one.
The second.
With such a huge brand, amazing execution, a very cost-effective way to create co-branding activities. So, there are so many unknown. And again, it's going back to be coffee and understand the business, understand the product, understand the user, be proud of the user, be comfortable with the partners, and go and do. Okay. It's like,
all right. I got two final questions as we wrap up here. The first one is, you've talked about brand, and you've talked about kind of performance direct response marketing, and performance direct response being like capturing the people that know about you, and brand kind of creating the next wave of people who are going to know, be informed, and eventually want to come in. How do you know how much money to spend in each of those buckets? Like, every company, no matter the bigger size, has money that they could spend in those buckets. How do you figure out the right balance between the two?
It's eventually go back to the TRY metrics. Okay. And it's also depend on the cash flow of the companies. So, for example, it was one time when Facebook launched the page post that we found a new way to bring new user to the company, but we didn't have enough cash flow to invest in that. Okay. So you need to understand again the financial of the company, how much the TRY, is it 8 months is okay with you? What do you mean 8 months? Is it fully blended 8 months or the direct acquisition 8 months? Because if it's 8 months and fully blended, you have all the SEO. It's like the zero money traffic that you are getting that help you to be much more aggressive in the acquisition aspect. So it's really depending so many things. It's what is the cost of the product, and how was the cost of the clicks. Okay. So eventually create the metrics. And when you create the metrics, challenge the metrics all the time. And don't be afraid to say something different today, even though that 2 days ago you advocate for something else, because you figure it out something today.
Strong opinions loosely held is the way. It's the only way forward.
Yeah, because, I was preaching for something for so many years. And when I saw something it was September 7 or something like that. On September 11 or 12, all the marketing worked differently. Everything. Okay. Because we figured out something differently that is relevant for now, that wasn't relevant to the way that we looked. So even though I was preaching for something else, we changed everything. So challenge yourself all the time, mate.
It's one of those things like, you have moments in your life like they sit in your head and you just see them so closely. You remember them so closely. I remember sitting in a meeting with a few other marketing leaders at HubSpot at the time, and I was advocating really strongly for something, and a couple of them made really good points, and I just instantly changed my mind, and they laughed. And they were like, "What are you talking about? Like, you were just telling us you wanted something." I was like, "Yeah, but you guys are right. We should do it your way." And I think that's one of the most powerful things in the world. It completely changes how a team works when you do that, right? And it shows that intellectual honesty and just figuring out the problem is actually the thing that matters more than anything.
But I think the story that you just mentioned is bigger than what you think, because I think it's bigger because you created the atmosphere of other people to think differently from you and to challenge you. Okay. As a group and as an individual in a meeting. And I think this is not a unique thing. Okay. And created the challenge atmosphere that people are challenging you, and you can challenge them, eventually bring you the place that you can change your mind in one meeting. So I think it's better. It's the culture. Is the way that you're running. So I think it's an amazing job for you that you created something like that.
Oh, well, it's very kind. Thank you. The last thing I want to ask you about is there are thousands of people that are going to be listening to, watching the show, who were in the seat you were in 16 years ago. They're running marketing at a company they think's amazing, with people they love and think's amazing. and they're like, you know what? I would love nothing more than to be really successful and get to do this for a long time. Like, I can think of nothing better than that. What would you tell them?
Don't be confident in your success. Okay, try to be better on a daily basis. This is the most important thing, right? It's like,
how do you do that? How do you do that in practice?
Not listening to people that say that I'm one of a kind. Don't listen to anyone who say that I am the number one at something. Having eventually the underdog spirit in myself, and not get bored by that, and not get exhausted by that. And
well, we've talked about sports some on the show, and like the thing about Michael Jordan that I always remember about Michael Jordan is not that he was a great athlete, not that he worked hard, all this, is that he would purposely find motivation.
Yeah.
He would seek out things that were people that were shit talking him, somebody who didn't believe in him, didn't matter. If everybody else in the world thought that he was great, he would find one person that didn't, and he would obsess about that and use that as motivation to get better. That's like, and that's the more twisted way of what you're saying here, which is like, you're trying to look for the ways to get better, and you want that really deep and constructive feedback, and you want to listen to that and ignore all the positive stuff, because the positive stuff actually doesn't help you get any better at all. Correct.
100%. I'm not Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is a one of a kind. I'm thinking about myself more like Olympics professionals. Okay. Someone is from judo. I used to be swimmer. So with not a lot of talent, but I was 8 times in a week at the pool training. And eventually, the trophy that I got, one about the most successful is the one who came every day and worked hard. And I think it started there. Okay. I'm working hard. I'm not happy. I'm doing a lot of fun and jokes and whatever, but I'm trying to be better. I try to make you better. And I think that also when my people watching me trying to be better all the time is create an atmosphere of all the time to be better and better and better and looking for the new thing and how we utilize your AI and how the search in AI is going to be and what is relevant and what not going to be and what we are good and what we're not good. For example, there's some stuff that we're not good at. So how we are getting better and just be better. If you would like to win, don't think about the winning. Think about how you can be better in the position of the game.
Yeah. Think about the pain of losing and try to prevent that more than the joy of winning, right?
I don't have pain in losing. I don't remember
You're a better
winning.
Person than I am, man.
And
You're
I don't
just
remember.
A way better person than I am.
Yeah, it's not that pain is, I don't feel painful. I don't remember even the failure. Okay. Because I implement the things that I remember from the failures in the next project, but I don't remember the failures.
There's no better way to end than that. That was a great end note. Omer, thank you so much for chatting with me today. This has been amazing. Thanks for joining us on Marketing Against the Grain. We'll see everybody real soon.
Thank you very much. I'm a huge fan.
This data is wrong every freaking time.
Have you heard of HubSpot? HubSpot is a CRM platform where everything is fully integrated.
Whoa, I can see the client's whole history, calls, support tickets, emails, and here's a task from 3 days ago I totally missed.
HubSpot. Grow better.